take 18 Ouachita Trail gear video post. I've tried to do this a bunch. We'll see if this one's good. So I'm gonna start out with clothes, hiking clothes that I'm wearing. So hiking clothes, start with the boots. Use boots. I know a lot of people use trail runners. I'm a boot guy. I roll my right ankle probably half a dozen times a day on the trail, almost never my left. I would have sprained my ankle innumerable times, so I'm a boot guy, but that's just me. Also, socks. I had 2 pair of darn tough Maine and Vermont wool socks, lifetime guarantee. I will probably never own another kind of socks again because I can just take these to REI if they get a hole and get a new pair. They're awesome. This is a gaiter that's put on so it keeps stuff from getting in your shoe. It also keeps, incidentally, the shoestrings underneath it. Your shoestrings never come untied. Regardless of whether you wear shoes or boots, you should definitely get gaiters. They're very cheap and very easy to use. For pants, I have this old pair of convertible, just shorts, hiking pants that I've had forever. They got pretty messed up on this trip. It's a duct tape belt, pockets blown out. They're about done, but I've had these for several years. Shirt was new. Bought it on closeout at REI. You'll hear that a lot. That's my best tip, frankly. Buy your stuff at REI. You can take it back for any reason for a year. I took a backpack back after I'd used it like 4 trips. They don't care. And if you shop the clearance sales, keep an eye. There's also good deals on used stuff that's been vetted. I bought a couple of things for Libby used. This was not used, but it was a clearance, even though I had to return it and get a bigger size. It's a cool KUHL hiking shirt. It's pretty nice. It's really lightweight. I wore this all the time so I didn't have to worry about sunscreen on my arms. Had these nice mesh pockets here that zip up that I could keep like chapstick and sunscreen and things like that in. Really like these. And it's also convertible to short sleeve. You can roll it up and there's little straps that'll button on this button. This thing was awesome. This hat, I think it's a Columbia. I got it on sale at REI while Derek was shopping for packs, actually. They had it in the closeout rack. It was marked down to like $30, which sounds ridiculous, but this hat is awesome. It breathes in here. You can sort of cinch this up to perch it on the top of your head. It has this tuck-in neck flap that you can tuck in back here and get out of the way if you want, or you can, most of the time I left this out, flop down around my ears. And then I also had, I lost them due to some wind. One of them blew off, but I had those half gloves that I had for kayaking. Those are really handy, and I was bummed when I lost them. Between all that, the only thing really I had the sunscreen was my nose, forehead, and a little bit of stuff on my face. Everything else was covered, and the tips of my fingers. That was it. Had a buff. I started with like 3. I had 1 by the end, which is the orange one, which was very important for me because it was deer season. I think that's it for hiking clothes. And then extra clothes would go in this dry stuff sack. It's not a complete dry bag, but it's actually a thing that came with my sleeping pad that's designed to blow up the sleeping pad quicker, which actually works pretty well. It also doubled as a clothes bag because it's pretty much waterproof. So I'll show you when I get to the packing bit at the end. So in here, I would have camp clothes, along with these goofy sock slipper things that say fashion. I think they were like $11 on Amazon, but they have a sole, but they're basically a sock. They were very comfortable. I ostensibly had them for water shoes, although I never put them on for water crossing. It takes so long to take your boots off. I just tried to stay dry, and most of the time I did. So, but when I would get into camp, one of my great pleasures was changing into camp clothes. So I had a pair of underwear in here that all I did was sleep in. That's the only thing I did. Let's dump all this out. Regular underwear were these merino wool magic. Merino wool is magic from the land of the Kiwis. They don't chafe, they don't sweat. Wool is magic, particularly merino wool. And I would have just like a cheap pair of underwear that like I would sleep in, and then so I'll put those on. I would always have clean clothes to put on. I have these medium weight Carhartt, which is a reasonably good brand. Wool mostly. Again, wool is wonderful because it still stays warm when it's wet. Medium weight bottoms. So also theoretically, if I had a really cold night, I would usually have these in my sleeping bag if it was going to get really cold, and pull them on in the middle of the night when it got cold. There was only a couple of nights I needed these. And then I'll just pull a pair of athletic shorts over them just to kind of protect this a little bit when I sit and stuff. These were, I did not bring a pair of athletic shorts, but Derek loaned me a pair, so thank you. And then I have one of these cheap, or relatively cheap, what's this generic Academy brand, BFG or something like that, BCG, little base layer, pretty lightweight. This is not exceptionally warm, so it was for sleeping. Also had this little hood, which was kind of cool for sleeping because I didn't really have a hat, so I'd either use a buff for this. That worked pretty well. So all that stuff would be in this bag during the day. And then, oh, I don't have it. I'm gonna go grab it. Really, this is just set. Okay, forgot something. Which isn't quite yet, but it'll be a minute. Also had this base layer. This is an old Under Armour base layer I've had forever that I got for skiing, I think. This is exceptionally warm, actually, and pretty light. I only had to wear this like one night. There was one night where it got down to like 33 when I was up on the ridge, and it was really cold. Down puffy jacket. I believe if you want it to, this will stuff in a pocket and zip up. I never really did that. It compresses so small. I would just jam it in here. And it, like I said, it compresses really small. Down jackets do. Down is amazing. This is just the REI Co-op brand. Bought them on clearance. Got me and Lib one for like 50, 60 bucks, which is a really good price for a down jacket. A late purchase was I got a new rain jacket. It's a Columbia again. It's got like a mesh inner layer and a nice hood. This thing was quite warm. The couple times I got rained on, I had great weather. I did not see a lot of rain. It also zips into a pocket, and you get a big sort of pouch thing, which is normally how this was stored because most days I did not need a rain jacket. This is a pretty warm jacket as a wind jacket as well. There was at least one morning where it was quite windy and cool, and it wasn't wet, but I had this near the top of the pack and I put it on because I was cold. Ordinarily, the solution for being cold and hiking is simple. You just walk faster. You don't tend to get really cold when you're hiking. When you stop, you get really cold quick. But anyway, it folds up right like that. So that would be usually near the top of my pack in case it rained. Okay. See what else we got. Let's go to food. Food, first of all, my bear hang, which is this little cord, which I ended up wrapping around an old bourbon bottle, which actually worked really well. Could kind of wind it up in this, and I didn't even have to tie a knot. This cord is reflective and very strong, but it's super thin on your hands. So I would like reel this to pull the bag up. What you do is you tie a rock to this, you throw it over a limb, clip it to this food bag, and then pull it up. It's supposed to be 6 feet away from the tree, 10 or 12 feet off the ground, a gap before the branch. I got a little lazier about the bear bag. A lot of thru-hikers don't hang at all. There you go. So that was usually stored in the food bag. I would have, I did not go with that yet. Oh my gosh, do I not have that anymore? Shoot. Alright, well, so ordinarily I would open up the day's food bag, which I don't seem to have all the food here. Shoot. Okay, So the way this would work was I would pull, ordinarily in here would be a dinner and a breakfast. Like maybe I had a dehydrated breakfast. I didn't tend to eat these most of the time. They're kind of expensive and sort of heavy. So I made my own meals, which tended to show here, but I don't really have. I would have a thing of oats in a little baggie, and that was a pre-mixed like slow oats, something like this. Just some of that. Some Nido fortified milk, which is dry milk, but it's not non-fat dry milk. It actually has fats in it. You can find this in the Hispanic section of the grocery store. So a little bit of this, some chia seeds, and some protein powder. And that was usually my breakfast, just with a little water. And then for dinner, I would either have one of those Mountain House meals a few times, or most of the time I had ramen bombs, which again were pre-mixed. It was a package of ramen, some spices, bought a bulk bag of dehydrated vegetables on Amazon and put a little bit of vegetables in there, and some beef jerky, and then mashed potatoes, instant Idaho mashed potatoes, a little bit. One package would be good for about 3 ramen bombs. It sounds gross, but it's pretty good. I would pull that out in the morning. Also in my, shoot, I'm really mad I don't have this, but also in the breakfast, I would have my sort of morning bag, which was just a little snack bag. It would have a few my pills for the morning, like that I was taking, my prescription pills. I also took some supplements. I took curcumin, which is turmeric. Took a multivitamin every day, and fish oil. The turmeric is supposed to help with inflammation. I took it when I was training. It seemed to help a lot. I would do, and then also the other thing is I have my morning coffee, a couple packets of, I don't have them here, but these little Starbucks Instant Via, about these size, were really good. I would usually do 2 of them and do super strong espresso because I didn't want to boil 2 cups of coffee. That's kind of not quite as good, but it's all right. It was still pretty good. And then the big thing of these Propel drink mixes, I bought a big box of these, 2 flavors. I would have 2 of these every day, which electrolytes and vitamins, and I would put them, so this is my water system. I would have 2 of these 1.5 liter smart water bottles. They don't ordinarily come with these kind of lids, but I got them off other bottles. The threads match my water filter, the Sawyer. Lost one of these bottles, but I would ordinarily have these in here, and I would put one of these in each side, like below the bottle. So late in the afternoon, when this got down to about, half, 3/4 of a liter, I would put that in there, shake it up. You get a fizzy, it tastes good. That was quite good. And then, so I'll pull all that stuff out in the morning, sort of disperse it, and then it would also have a whole bunch of some candies. You see some Jolly Ranchers in there, and then a whole bunch of these bars, like half a dozen or so. I ate a lot of bars. The bars would get shoved, the bars and candy would get shoved in the little hip pockets in the pack for the day's food, to just eat as I saw fit. Trash would go in my back zippered pocket and then get transferred to a trash bag at the end of the day. Other things in my food bag include my food kit, which is ordinarily in this little thing. It's kind of messed up, but it's ordinarily in this little sack. So pull it out. It has this koozie. This is made out of old windshield screen. The idea is you can boil water and then put some food in and put it in here and leave it cooking. It'll stay warm rather than be boiling water and wasting your fuel. So anyway, take that off. The little lid is also a frying pan. This is a large titanium Tokes pot. Should have probably bought the smaller one. I kind of like the lid on this, but it does take a little longer to boil. Has nice little handles. Titanium gets cool amazingly quickly, so these actually don't get hot if you put them out. And then inside it is everything to cook: my stove and my gas, which is, I have it already connected here, just so I can show you. Ordinarily, this is in a little pouch. That little tiny thing there comes off. That's the stove. This sits on top. You light it up, turn this valve, boils water really quickly, couple minutes. And then the lighter would be in there too. And also in here, in my cook kit, is my collapsible cup, which is just 1 cup total. It's got some measurements on the side, so it's also for measuring water, but drink my coffee or whatever in it. Also in the food bag, very important, spices. Got all these little spice containers at REI. They were like $1 a piece or something. Would have an extra Bic in here. I had some soy sauce packets, which I used, and then I had a few things mixed. I had a spicy, which is like red pepper and cayenne pepper and chili powder, and not sauce, because sauce is heavy, but there you go. And then a seasoned salt, just salt, pepper, and whatever. Dried flaked garlic, which we discovered a while back in the house. This is amazing. It goes so far. I had this thing full and I didn't use it all in 2 weeks, and I put it in just about every meal. And then I had a little bottle of olive oil, which is gone, obviously, to add oil to things for fat. Okay, so that's pretty much it for food. Food would go in here. So at the beginning of the day, I would take the trash bag, which would be an old gallon bag, which was in my pack, transfer trash to here, take out the morning's food, disperse it, the stuff for lunch and stuff, which I didn't show you here, I would put in the outside of my pack. So I would have for lunch, I don't have it here, but I would have these little tuna packets that you get in the store. And you can also get them with like rice and beans. I would get like one of those with rice and beans or something, and then either a chicken or a tuna or a salmon. Combine those in wraps, which are just wheat tortillas. Had a bunch of wheat tortillas. They're very hearty. They don't tend to get messed up. And I would usually have wraps for lunch. They were awesome. Again, you have to use your imagination a little bit, because I did. Another thing I had is a big mesh bag, which is just kind of for miscellaneous crap, especially in the fall where there's like a foot of leaves and everything. I would just get really religious about always putting stuff in here, because man, you put it down in the leaves, it was just gone. In here was my Ouachita Trail guide, which I tried to read every night. The next section, a lot of times the text descriptions of where you're going are the best, and it'll be like, you're gonna leave this road to the right or whatever, or here's a tricky spot, or here's a cool scenic view that you don't want to miss, you know. So I would try to do that. Didn't always, most of the time. I had a big Ziploc bag, which was a dry bag. Had things like GoPro batteries, things like this, earplugs for shelters, which are very important because you have mice and snorers. So it's basically batteries and stuff. One trick on your dry bags, those little dehydrated backpacking meals all have a little water absorbing packet that you have to take out before you cook them. Just throw them in your dry bag and reuse those suckers. If any moisture gets in there, it'll suck them up. I had an Anchor and KER 10,000 milliamp battery bank. This thing is not that heavy. It would charge my ludicrous phone, which itself has a 4,000 battery, several times. This thing worked great. It also has a fast charger. It'll charge up in a couple of hours. This thing would charge like your typical iPhone like 3 times. For real. It's really good. Not super cheap. I think it was, I don't remember what it was. It might have been like 50 bucks with the charger. It was not super cheap. It's kind of handy to have around for emergencies too, though. If I keep this charged, when we lost power, like everybody charged their phone off that, and it worked fine. Other things is med kit, which kind of just spilt out a little bit, but just a bunch of stuff: toothbrush, toothpaste, some lens cleaning, Luco tape, very important for patching up blisters and stuff, and you know, bandages, antibiotic ointment, emergency blanket of Mylar in case like everything got wet and I needed to stay warm. That was usually in here. Usually in here also was tent stakes. I have in here now is like my chapstick and sunscreen, like the stick kind. This was usually in my pocket, as I think I said earlier. Extra pair of glasses. This was my backup light source. It's a little flashlight, but it's also a lantern. Kind of projects out. You can either set it, or it's got a little hook. I would hang it from the tent. It's pretty cool. Liked that a lot. That was my backup light source. Okay, sleeping pad and pillow. It's right here. This is I had to buy this right before because my other pillow broke on my shakeout trip. Climate pillow. It's kind of cool. It has like a dent in the middle. I really liked this. This sleeping pad, the Big Agnes, long wide Q-core, is amazing. Amazing. So warm. It's got a sheet of Mylar in it. Its R value is like 6. It's like this thick. It's like more than 3 inches. It's absurd. I think it's 4 inches. It's wonderful. It was kind of pricey, but I slept very well in this. Liked it a lot. I usually had another little dry bag where I would keep my phone. I would hang this right from my sternum strap after a while, because I used to put the phone in this pocket until it blew out. It might have things like I have a pair of gloves, real, well, not super thick, but actual gloves, and a couple other things. Like I said, usually my phone, maybe a backup GoPro battery. Tube of Body Glide was pretty awesome. I would put this on my toes every day to prevent chafing and blisters. Worked fine. Let's see. All right, getting on to the big things here. Oh, when I was talking about hiking stuff, I didn't talk about trekking poles. I started with my REI ones. I bent it the first day. I took a really bad fall and bent it, and because it's part of my shelter, I had Derek bring the black diamond ones. I probably should have brought these in the first place. They're a little heavier duty. These are very nice, and in my opinion, at least on the OT, absolutely essential. I would not have made anywhere near the number of miles per day that I made without trekking poles, especially in the early, very rocky sections. Creek crossings, very, very, very helpful. These do fold up. The other thing is these are required for this tent that I have, because these are the poles for the tent. The tent has no poles. Use your trekking poles. Another cool tip that I got off somebody on YouTube, might have been Frozen, I'm not sure. So you put duct tape right here. That's on both of them. I probably have way more than I needed, but I used several of pieces of it to repair gear. So you have duct tape available. Just wrap a little bit on your trekking poles and you won't notice the weight. There you go. That worked really well. Okay, so speaking of tent, we can flash air too. Just this big old thing. It weighs like nothing. The whole tent weighs 15 ounces, and I think that's with the stakes. The only poles that comes with it are these. They don't even go all the way across. They junction on the top of your trekking poles, and this whole thing is sort of held by tension, which is great. It was very much a pain to set up every night. I didn't, and the big thing is, it's not like a freestanding tent where if you don't like your spot, you just pick it up and carry it somewhere else. So I'm not very good at picking like flat, good tent spots. So once this is down, you can't move it. The procedure for moving it is you take it down and put it up, and you have to slowly tension this out. It's not quick. It would take me 15 minutes, even after I got good at it, probably, to put this tent up. 10 minutes at least. So that's a long story short of, I was really envious of Derek had the UL2, Big Agnes UL2. It's a little more. I think I'm probably gonna go for that and trade this in. Again, I'll stick it to REI. It doesn't matter that I used it for the trip for 2 weeks. I'll take it back, no problem, as long as I have all the stuff. So, and then I'll kind of show you how I pack the pack here. So that would just be usually crammed all the way on top, unless it was wet. Then it would go on the top of the pack to dry off during the day. These, I started off putting them right against my back, thinking it would help. This doesn't really have a frame, this pack. This is the Mountain Hardware Southwest 3400. I'll get to it in a minute, but I ended up putting this actually more on the outside, sort of on the back, to provide support here. I don't know, it just worked better. It just did. So that's where I put it. Next is the ground cloth. This is polycrow. It's a replacement window. You can get it at Home Depot or Lowe's for like $8, $10. This stuff did not break. I did not purchase the ground cloth, which costs like 50 or 60 bucks. I got this instead, and it works awesome. I was laying this on top of briars and stuff. It has no holes, so it was great. Next would be the sleeping bag. So usually what I would do would be put the sleeping bag in this stuffed sack of clothes, or just wrap it around this ground cloth. So this is a Teton 20 degree. I went back and forth on whether to get the 20 to bring my 20 degree bag or a 35 degree bag. This was a little heavier, but it's more comfortable too. I'm glad I ended up bringing this. So in order to make sure everything stayed dry, what I usually did was this. I didn't bring the stuff sack for this. Instead, I would stuff it into here. Kind of compress it down as much as I could. Usually sort of wrap it in this brown cloth, because this bag is supposed to be waterproof, but when it rained on like day 4, it got a little wet. So I was kind of paranoid about stuff getting wet in there. So I would just put that in there and then just cram that down. Sometimes it didn't work very well that way, and I would make the sleeping bag separate. The idea is to kind of fill the bottom of that bag and seal this off. So I could do the same thing by putting a ground cloth there and sort of sealing it, and put this in. Then usually went food bag, which is normally a lot fuller than this. Try to get low because it's heavy. And I didn't put several things that are supposed to be in the food bag, but we're gonna ignore that. And then all this stuff would just be crammed on the top, and then this would go in. The rest of the stuff just kind of crams in there. It's basically just a big stuff sack. Again, the only thing was, usually this black mesh bag was near the top, and this guy, the rain jacket, was always right on top. So you get to it if it rained, obviously. So talking about the pack, yeah, I was not really impressed with the durability of this pack. There's a pinhole in the bottom already. And like I said, it got wet. The big thing was it wasn't super comfortable on my back. It rubbed my back pretty raw. I didn't like the hip belt. If I'd have been another week, I think I would have had some problems with the rashing on my back from where it was rubbing against me with all the sweat. I don't know, maybe not, but it was starting to hurt on the last day. So this was all the pack as it was put together. On the front, I have my Garmin satellite communicator. That's the magic, that I could push this SOS pretty much anywhere on the planet. I could also text my wife from here regardless of cell signal. Not cheap, but a lot of peace of mind. I also have this old little compass whistle thermometer thing I've had forever, but I have this backup compass. And then over here I would have my GoPro mount coming out right here. And then other things that are on the pack would be spork. Kept out of here on a little clipper, so you know I could grab it at lunch or whatever, or in case any random stranger offered me food, I was prepared. And then on the opposite side, my trowel, my deuce of spades. This is for digging the poop hole. So speaking of which, so down in here I would have a bag I might not have it. Actually, I don't have it in here. I would ordinarily have a bag I would call a poop kit, which was just toilet paper and a thing of biodegradable wipies for cleaning up. So you dig a little hole, do your business, cover it up, etc. Leave no trace. Also out here in the outside of the pack, stuffed into these shoes, was stuff for water. I would need water filtration during the day. Water was a constant thing of, when am I going to get water? How much water should I carry? You know, I could carry 5 liters of water. That's really heavy, so I didn't like to do that. So in here I would keep my water filter, Sawyer squeeze. You have to watch to make sure to bring an extra O-ring. These tend to fall out. And then I had some extra caps in case I lost some. And then in the other one would be this little CNOC water bladder, which is basically just a replacement for the cheap one that comes with the Sawyer. This was a good purchase, less than 20 bucks. I think it was like 15 bucks. 2 liters of additional water storage. The filter threads right on here, and then I could filter water through it. But if I needed to, I could have the 2 1.5s full with 3, so like, you know, the area where you have 20 miles with no water, you're gonna need to carry like 5 liters. The other 2 were in here. I would just fill this up, it's not gonna leak, and just shove it in here. Also on the outside, I had a little multi-tool, probably a little heavy, but it had like pliers and a knife and screwdriver. Use this to fix some stuff. Probably use the saw the most. There's a little saw on here, and it cutting down briars and stuff around where our little small trees for where I was putting my tent came very handy. So used that quite a bit, managed not to lose it. So there you go. Just always went in there, and when I was farting around on camp at night, I would probably have this clipped to my belt, not here on the pack. And yeah, I think pretty much does it. The only other thing is treated everything with permethrin. Permethrin spray first, trying to keep out ticks and stuff. I didn't really have a problem with bugs other than the 11 billion walking sticks. Oh, last thing, butt pad. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's for sitting. Underrated, very light. It's also great for starting fires. You can fan really well. This would usually, no usually about it would pretty much always be, there's this Y strap on this pack, which I did like this on this pack. So I would just, this is kind of messed up. So, but yeah, it would just, you know, pull up here. Just put this on the top like so. And stripe down. There's a little tie strap, and I would wrap it around this just in case, but it never came off there. Like I said, and I would put either the tent or ground cloth in here to clean up. Yeah, I think that is it for equipment. That was not a very good tour of the food, but I could do some more on the food, maybe in the how-to. Food planning is pretty hard. I would say there's a lot of videos on backpacking food recipes. Try some at home. That was what I did, and experiment with them. Like literally eat your meals with them for a while. Not every day, but you know, eat it as a meal and see how it goes. Okay, I think that's it. That's my equipment tour.